Hey there, comic book friends. This is Travis, and today I am going to talk about my year with the DC New 52 and what my opinion of it is, how it's affected me, the titles themselves, and maybe even heck how it affects you, and what's come of it since then. I'm just going to kind of go through the titles. As you know, each of the 52. I'm hoping to do it quickly. That way, this doesn't become a hugely long video. I'm already thinking it's going to. Now that I've just said I'm going to talk about 52 comics, and then them in general. I'm more going to talk about the books that I picked up. So, anyway, we'll start this out, and if it starts to feel horrifically long, maybe I'll split it in two or something. At any rate. Let's get right into it. I'm going to talk about the titles. I'm sitting here so I can look at my computer too, so I can remember all the titles, because I didn't actually pick up all 52. Bravo to those of you who did. I was an avid DC reader beforehand, but I certainly didn't collect everything, and I don't collect everything now. Anyway, sticking on task here. Let's talk about the comics themselves. The original first 52. I'll go basically in alphabetical order with these. First one was Action Comics. I am not picking up Action Comics. I did not pick up Action Comics. I am not much of a Superman fan. He's fine. I don't mind reading him in stories. I've tried multiple times back in the 80s to try and get into Superman, to read Superman, and never had interest. So I had no interest in picking this up, even with the creative team of Grant Morrison and Rags Morales on the book. It just didn't have enough. I didn't even pick up issue 1. Maybe I should have if I was maybe hedging my bets. I don't think it's that great of a title, from what I hear, for me to have lost anything by not picking up that number 1. It's not like it's the original number 1 Action Comics, right? Okay, next up I am going to talk about, let's see here, All-Star Western. That is a book I did collect, I do collect, and I quite enjoy. All-Star Western. There's number 1. Great team of Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti and Moratat doing artwork. My cover actually happens to be signed, Moratat there. You see right there where it says the Welcome to Gotham, the 2. He uses the 2 to partially sign his signature. Got that last year. I really happy with this comic. I only collected Jonah Hex that used to be out before this. Every once in a while when there are other artists on it that I was interested in, it's one of those things that I mean to go back and pick up trades of at some point. They tweak the character some in the sense that they've kind of got him stuck in Gotham. They introduce us to Dr. Arkham, who Arkham Asylum is famous for. He's a great character in this. I think the main story is pretty successful. The backup stories are, hit and miss as far as that goes. Around issue 4, 5, and 6, there was an artist, Lorando, I want to say his name is, that did some cover work that was just, outstanding. Some of his cover work, if nothing else, just looking at it, I would think would draw people in. I don't know how successful the sales are. I love this one with the giant pad. Don't know how successful they are with the book, but I, like I said, as a whole, I enjoy it, and I'm still getting it. It is a win for me as far as the New 52 goes. Okay, next, Animal Man. Animal Man started out with Jeff Lemire and Travel Foreman. Travel Foreman's art took a little bit to get used to when you're looking at the normal people for me, but his monster and creepy and freaky stuff is absolutely awesome. He ended up jumping off the book. He had personal issues going on, and the book didn't mesh with him. Deaths in the family and stuff like that, and then having to do this grim stuff bothered him, so he got off the book, unfortunately, because I thought it was pretty good with him on it. I think as a whole, this is a win. I enjoy it. It seems like it's taken a long time to get where it's at now. I'm hoping after the whole Rot World thing is done, it moves forward and explores new stuff besides totally being wrapped up in the red, the green, and the rot stuff. Or possibly this could end up becoming a one-note comic. And not one note in the same way like with Swamp Thing, which I'll get to at some point. Okay, Aquaman. I did not pick up Aquaman, even though it supposedly has the great team of Jeff Johns and drawing a blank in the artist's name right offhand. I'm not a big Aquaman fan. Aquaman for me is like Superman in a lot of ways. I enjoy him in a group setting with other people and whatnot. He's fine. He's interesting. Interesting character. I just can't imagine lots of stories with him. It just, to me, does not seem interesting. Doesn't strike me as interesting anyway. And now I'm probably pretty happy that I didn't pick up the book just because I'm not happy with anything I've read of Jeff Johns really for quite some time. And that's another Jeff John title. So there you go. Not something that I would be really that interested in. Okay, next, Batgirl, Gail Simone. My copy is actually signed by Gail Simone there. I got this Batgirl solely because the Stephanie Brown Batgirl, I bought issue 1 of it and was pretty pissed off that they got rid of Cassandra Cain as Batgirl, and so I didn't pick up that book for a while, and it ended up being probably one of my favorite books, was that era of Batgirl. So I told myself, even though I was pissed off that they got rid of Stephanie Brown and they were moving Barbara Gordon from being Oracle, who I think is an awesome character, and kind of, in my opinion, regressing her back to being Batgirl, even under the writing of Gail Simone, to me it still seemed like it was taking her backwards. That I was at least going to give this comic a try because the mistake I made with the last Batgirl. This Batgirl is okay. It's now finally becoming a superhero comic as opposed to a woe is me comic. I'm happy with it now. And look forward to where it's going to. But that's kind of why I picked up on it. I still think it's a shame. I still think it's a crock that Barbara Gordon isn't Oracle. I still think that's a much stronger character than this character is. But part of that has to do with the whole new DC-52, which I'll talk about if I talk about the comics in particular. Batman #1. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. I wasn't sure when we first started getting this. I was on board because of Scott Snyder. His run on Detective Comics before the New 52 relaunch was outstanding. I liked the artists he worked with when he was working with Jock and Francesco Francavilla. Wasn't really sure on Greg Capullo's art. A bit nervous by it. First couple issues were okay for me as far as the art goes. I wasn't totally on board, but was enjoying it just fine. The story was great in it, which, like I said, no surprise. Scott Snyder, this is like his dream job, and he isn't just saying that. I mean, he's so serious about it that he's writing outstanding stuff. This was good from the very beginning, in my opinion. Enjoyable first issues, kicked off things really well and whatnot. I'm totally on board with Greg Capullo's doing the art now. You can tell that he's really honest and really sincere about the fact that he really, really enjoys the book and it's important to him and stuff. Met him at Emerald City Comic Con this last March, and he was so enthusiastic about it and what he was doing that it just makes you all the more excited for the book. Of course, you know, right now we're getting ready to go into issue 13 where we start the Joker stuff, so it should be all exciting and pretty outstanding. The other thing about the Batman title is, of course, nothing changed with its continuity, really. It backed him up and made a big confusing mess. I'll talk about that in a little bit when I talk about the New 52 in general. Next up, Batman and Robin was another title that I did pick up of the New 52. This issue in particular was outstanding. This was an incredible first issue. I actually wish there was more of this in the current Batman and Robin. There are some scenes in this of Batman talking about trying to change a new leaf, to celebrate the anniversaries of people's births, of people being married, and not the anniversaries of people's deaths. He's trying to turn over a new leaf with his son. There's some great scenes in here of him looking up, especially art scenes of him looking up through some sewer gratings, and the raindrops are coming down, and he's remembering the breaking pearls from his mother being killed that were just outstanding. But this has been a really good book. Pretty much solid all the way through. Some okay things, but outstanding book. Yeah, I pretty much picked up where the last Batman and Robin went from, and is still great. Then there's the Batman, The Dark Knight. I'm not a fan of David Finch as a writer at all. I did not hear good things about this book before the relaunch, so I certainly didn't pick it up with the relaunch thinking I already got enough Bat titles, and history was telling me that that was not a good title in the prior, before the 52, so I didn't pick that up. Another comic that I picked up, and for those of you who are living ancient history with me, this was one of my first videos I did on YouTube. I used to do lots of videos that I called Not on the Pole, because I bought this off the shelf after I had seen a little bit of interior artwork and decided, I didn't order it, but I'm going to go buy it off the shelf and see what it's like. Was very pleased with it. At the time that this was being done, Judd Wittick writing it, he's still writing it currently, but I hear he's going off the book. But Ben Oliver was doing the artwork inside of it. Gorgeous, gorgeous, kind of a painted look, maybe sparse background, but man, the main characters that you see on the pages and on the panels and whatnot were outstanding. This has actually been a very entertaining book. The only time it's been thrown off is when it's had to do crossover stuff with somebody else. Otherwise, thoroughly entertaining. A surprise for me, like I said. Didn't know anything about the character because the character was just a brief one-panel shot in Batman Incorporated before the New 52. He was just a one-panel character, so we're all like, why would he do that? But I like the idea of a hero who is not American, set in a place that's not America, dealing with things that have nothing to do with America, which is really nice to have. There needs to be more of this, more worldly comics. In my opinion. There's no reason DC can't do it because there's lots of the world out there besides the United States. But anyway, pleasantly surprised that it ended up going onto my poll, and I'm still collecting it now. Okay, next I want to talk about is Batwoman #1. Of course we picked this up. Are you kidding? This basically takes off kind of where Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams were at with the character when they did their run on Detective Comics that had Batwoman in it. Of course, no longer, unfortunately, Greg Rucka writing it, but J.H. Williams, with the help of W. Hayden Blackman, writing this book. It is excellent. The story may be long. It may feel like the arc's never completely finished. I really don't care. I still think there are lots of good nuggets in this, and especially when J.H. Williams is on artwork. A stellar comic. Of course, we know that there was some potential editorial and creative difference issues. Amy Reeder was supposed to be doing the in-between arcs. At least I was excited by the idea of her doing the in-between arcs. I think she did 2 or 3 issues of the in-between arcs when J.H. Williams isn't doing the artwork on it, so he has time to catch up with his next arc. They have finally found a guy, Trevor, I'm drawing a blank on his last name, did some artwork for Gates of Gotham miniseries that was out before the New 52. At any rate, I think he does a fine job. He has his own style, but kind of keeps with some of the panel designs that J.H. Williams uses without totally aping the guy. But at any rate, I still am really enjoying the comic. The stuff that's coming out right now, with this stuff where she's going to be teaming up with Wonder Woman and whatnot, is very exciting to me. A great book to get, if nothing else, just for the eye candy, if you don't like anything else. I like the character. She's a cool character, and I like her interactions with the secondary characters that are in this book. They do a good job of keeping the secondary characters interesting, which I think is important for a good comic. Okay, another one of the New 52 I picked up. Get the impression I picked up a lot of these? Anyway, Birds of Prey. Wasn't sure what I was going to think of this. No Gail Simone on it, which is strange to some degree. I know there's authors have written it, and I've actually enjoyed theirs. But this was a new author to me. I like the beginning of this book. This is a great opening issue. They introduce a new character in this, Starling. Starling's a fabulous character, lots of attitude and lots of fun. I even like this team up of people. I love the fact that Poison Ivy was with the group, and Katana, this new version of Katana. All really great. Enjoyed these first issues. I don't particularly care. I'm still collecting this comic. I don't particularly care where the comic is going right now. We'll see where it goes to from here, because I liked having Poison Ivy on the team as being a quasi-hero. The next thing that came out was Blackhawks. I did not get this. I liked Lady Blackhawk when she was part of the Birds of Prey. I'm not even sure if Lady Blackhawk was actually in this. This was kind of a mercenary type book where they, my understanding is where they dealt with high-end tech and trying to make sure it didn't get into the wrong hands and whatnot. It just didn't really interest me a whole lot. I do have friends who did collect it, and they liked it for a while anyway, but I don't know a whole lot about it other than that, other than I wasn't getting it. Next is Blue Beetle. Of course, I like Jaime Reyes. Great character in the old Blue Beetle before the 52 relaunch. To tell you the truth, like the first 6 issues of this was relatively disappointing unless you know nothing about the Blue Beetle. Because basically what they did is they took the first like 6 or 7 issues of this book. They basically took the last volume of this current Blue Beetle, and they took all of those stories that were told in probably 20-some issues and smashed them all into that 6 issues and tweaked a little bit of stuff, but didn't really change a whole lot. But didn't tell anybody who's an old reader anything that we didn't already know. Now, if you're a new reader, maybe all that stuff was interesting. I offhand don't know anybody else who's actually reading the book that would be new to it. But I'm not saying that it was bad. It just wasn't enjoyable for those of us that had already seen it. I like where the comic's at now. He's starting to feel like a superhero, starting to actually move and get somewhere and whatnot. So, curious about that. Next comic in the D52 is Captain Atom. I didn't get Captain Atom for two reasons. I actually kind of like the character. I've collected Captain Atom a little bit in the past. J.G. Kroll was writing the book. I was a little fatigued from him because it felt like he was writing the last incarnation of Green Arrow, and it just felt like it drug out and got nowhere. And the artist is Freddie Williams II. I had just got off of collecting JSA All-Stars, and I did not really like his artwork on that. Everything felt too squarey. The women had these big square jaws and stuff, and it just didn't appeal to me. I hear from a lot of you guys out there, and from some of my some of my other friends, that this is actually a pretty good book. That it changed a bunch of stuff about him. Actually moved him, sounds like, to some degree, more towards Dr. Manhattan, which is interesting because Dr. Manhattan, of course, is supposed to be a incarnation of him, and neither one of those sounding people is the Captain Atom that I read. The Captain Atom I read in the 80s. He flew around, had metal skin, blasted things, stuff like that. He didn't affect things the way it sounds like he might. And this sounds like it's actually an interesting book. It may be something that when the trades get out there and they start to lose a little bit of value, I may pick those up just to check it out and whatnot. Some of the covers look cool for it and stuff, but anyway, there is that. That's why I never picked it up. Next, another one of those ones that wasn't on my pull list, but I decided to pick it up. I went back and forth on the whole sexy thing. For Catwoman. I know that this book was described as being, Catwoman, of course, she's going to be sexy and whatnot. People picked up on the sexy thing, freaked out beforehand, and so Judd Wettick, bless his heart, played on that and just kept drilling it a whole bunch. I think he got tired of people bugging him about it, so he just would go over the top about how sexy it was going to be. And of course, the first issue, we had the last pages of her and Batman. If they're not actually having sex, they're just this side of it. It definitely pushes the envelope of T+ in a lot of people's opinion. If sexuality bothers you, this issue certainly would have bothered you. I thought there was actually quite a bit of good story in here, despite some of the eye candy moments. Yes, there were some shots that were drawn in some ways they didn't necessarily be drawn in. Now, care anybody else says, I love Gilliam March's artwork, and it's not just the fact that he draws hot babes. I like his artwork in general. I think it's interesting. It's a unique style. You can tell his stuff right away. The guy who does the coloring on his stuff makes him look unique. And there are times where, to me, that is so refreshing to have somebody who has obviously their own style. And when I say their own style, it doesn't look like everybody else's, that has their own style, but it all looks like this type of comic art. His doesn't. And this comic was a really surprise for me. Like I said, I picked it up as an on a poll, read a couple issues, put it on a poll, because there's a lot of serious story in here and a lot of baggage for this character, which is great and makes this a really interesting character. They dialed back some of the sexiness stuff and whatnot. She's still sexy because she's Catwoman. Come on, but there's some serious story in here. There's some serious content in this thing about where she came from and whatnot. Going forward, we're going to have a new writer on the book. We'll see what happens. But the first year of this, very pleasantly surprised, and I don't care what Bill says. I've been enjoying the heck out of it. At any rate, next is DC Universe Presents. I'm a sucker for anthology books. Dead Man makes it nice too. This was the beginning of this was like a 4-issue arc on Dead Man. Absolutely stunning. Ryan Sook covers, Bernard Chain doing the artwork on it. Great story. To reintroduce Dead Man to us. Interesting character in this. I think he's been underutilized in the other books that he's in, but very interesting in this. I enjoy this thing. There have been some issues I haven't enjoyed. The Challenges of the Unknown that Dan Didio does the script on. I'm not a Dan Didio fan whatsoever. So those were stinkers, but otherwise, as a whole, it's been good. I enjoy it, and we'll of course keep picking it up, because if you don't like the characters in it, it's a couple issues, and then it moves on to something else. So that's all great and fun. Another comic that I did pick up because Ethan was interested in it initially, because he was saying at the time they liked the fantasy and sorcery kind of stuff. This is Demon Knights. Tony Daniel cover here. At the time, it was written by Paul Cornell. He has since left the book about 6 issues in. Him and Peter Milligan. No, I take it back. I'm sorry. That's a different comic. He's still on this book. I dropped Demon Knights as of, I think, issue 11. I may have gotten 12. I can't remember. This book started out really fun. Vandal Savage was a fabulous character in this. Everybody was fun characters. And they've slowly lost, all of them have slowly lost their charm, in my opinion. And it's kind of become a pointless, whatever kind of a book for me. And that's why I dropped it. But it started out really fun. I was kind of disappointed in the fact that before this book actually came out, they were really pimping the horsewoman character in this book. Oh, she's the new woman who's, is in the same situation that Oracle was in, the fact that she can't use her legs. She'll be a good substitute for that maybe, or whatever. And they've totally not used that character at all. So, anyway. Next up, we have Detective Comics #1. Tony Daniels doing the art and doing the writing. Of course, this first issue ends with the horrific shot of Joker's face having been peeled off and tacked to a wall. Does anybody else remember what else happened in this comic? He chases the Joker around. So we see the Joker briefly. This is the first comic the Joker's in of the New 52. See him briefly, and then the Joker disappears, and we haven't seen him since. And it's going to be, 14 months later, we're actually going to start seeing the Joker again back in the Batman title. I actually didn't mind this issue. This first issue, it was okay. Wasn't stellar, but it was okay. And this comic basically has slowly gotten worse. Occasionally has a good moment, but as a whole, it's not very good. I think Tony Daniels has some good ideas. I do not think he writes dialogue well at all. The last couple issues of this book, the dialogue and stuff has been pretty horrific. yeah, the annual that just came out, that was, the dialogue of that was really bad, which is unfortunate. I mean, should be the flagship. This should be one of the flagships. You know, it should be one of the comics that's one of the best ones out there. It's because it was around forever, you know, before the relaunch. But yeah, new people on it, going to be on it now, starting with number 13. Looking forward to that, and we'll see what their voice is with Batman and Detective Comics. Next is The Flash. I did not pick up The Flash. This is one of those characters that I'm not really that interested in. I have never had a really big interest in The Flash. I hear good things from some people on it. I also hear from one of my closer friends that he's not really thrilled with Rogues Gallery. He likes The Flash because he really likes the Rogues Gallery. Loved Captain Cold and Mirror Master and some of those people and whatnot, and they've changed them. Captain Cold has gone from being this really smart, intelligent, super fast, quick draw guy to this, I don't know, mutant power or whatever, shooting and kind of a whiny, sniveling drip. Which is pretty unfortunate to have these strong characters be reduced to that. But I hear good things about the Flash in itself and the way they're using the Speed Force, the way they're explaining it, some of that stuff. So exciting stuff there as far as that goes. Then I picked up Frankenstein Agent of Shade. Of course, I picked this up, if nothing else, just because of the way the character was used in the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Was excited about it as far as that goes. This is, at the time, was a Jeff Lemire and Alberto Ponticelli artwork. To tell you the truth, I did not like the artwork to start out with. I don't know who was inking it. I don't know if he was doing his own inks or if somebody else was inking it. But the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 issues, I didn't really like. I really love it now, and I really love the artwork. They got a different inker on it, and so his art is really strong. The inker adds something to the art and makes it an exciting, great book. Love the characters that are in it. They're kind of interesting and whatnot. I think that the other creature commandos that are in this, they're kind of weak characters at this point. Hoping those characters still get fleshed out more. Excuse me while I take a drink because I got a tickle in my throat. But yeah, I mean, Frankenstein, he's cool. Some of the other characters are cool. The Shade stuff is cool. Fun book. It's just kind of a fun romp. We'll see if they get into some other serious stuff. The current writer that's writing it, I actually like his work on it better than Jeff Lemire's. With Jeff, it didn't feel like we were necessarily going someplace. It was taking a long time, it felt like, to get there. It feels like the new guy actually has some goals and is moving forward with those goals, it feels more like. So I'm excited for the book. I hear sales aren't really great on it, but I hope that doesn't mean that it's the end of the book. I enjoy it. I hear that Ponticelli's going off to do artwork for another book. Haven't heard who the new artist is going to be for it, but hopefully that doesn't mean that it's going to be gone. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Fury of Firestorm. This is one of those comics that basically, anytime there's been a Firestorm comic, while I've been collecting comics, I have picked up Firestorm. So, of course, I was going to pick this up. For me, it seemed like a no-brainer. You've got Gail Simone writing on it. You unfortunately have Ethan Van Sciver writing on it. And it was going to have Sinar doing the artwork. I like Sinar's artwork. He's got kind of a traditional, very superheroic-looking type style of art. So I was all for that. I was even for the fact that there were going to be like 3 versions of Firestorm. These 2 guys, they're Firestorms, and they combine into this big creator here. I like the idea of that. This comic felt very painful, though. I think there was a problem with the creators working all together on this book. And so it was pretty disappointing. I think I collected up to like issue 5 or 6, and then I dropped it, which is a bummer for me. Like I said, I was always a Firestorm fan, but it was just not good. It was just not good. I love the character, but I couldn't justify continuing to get it. Gail Simone jumped off the book. Like I said, I think there were some creative differences. Don't really hear that officially, but I think that was the case in this book. Still kind of surprised it's around. They've got totally new writers and creators on the thing now. I think actually, I want to say Dan Jurgens doing the whole thing now. Maybe Joe Hill's writing it. I don't remember. Anyway, completely different creative team on it now, but I'm still not picking it up. Maybe if it gets another total reboot, I'll pick it up. I don't know. Okay, next I want to talk about Green Arrow #1. DC 52, the relaunch, broke this character. He is fundamentally broken, and unless they radically change where he's at now, this character will stay broken. He will be nothing like he was before, and will be of no interest to me to read. The first couple issues were okay. They started out as being kind of just a fun superhero comic, and then quickly spiraled out of control as we got multiple creators on the book, different writers, and even when they got Anicetti on the book, hopefully a solid writer who has a history of writing some good stuff, jumped on the book. It's still broken, and I don't know that it's the writer. I just think it's the setting. It's the stuff that got taken away from him in this whole 52 relaunch. So I got issue 0. I got through 12. Got issue 0. I'm done. And this is my favorite character. Period. But you know what? These 12 issues have been so bad that I'm having a hard time even saying it's my favorite character anymore. And that's bad, because Green Arrow's been my favorite character since the late 70s, when I got a drinking glass that had a picture of him on it, and I thought it was cool. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, on to the next thing. Green Lantern. Of course, I didn't pick up Green Lantern. I am not a Hal Jordan fan. I don't really care for the whole Green Lantern mythos. It doesn't interest me in much of any way. I hear that this book sometimes is really good. I don't know. The Jeff Johns Kool-Aid, I can't drink it or something. I don't know. I heard the Blackest Night stuff and all that kind of stuff was great and all. I didn't even get that because it was, at the time, it was all Green Lantern centric. I need to go back and read the Blackest Night stuff, but not into Green Lantern, so of course I did not pick that up. I did not pick up Green Lantern Chorus for the same reason, because I'm not a Green Lantern fan. It didn't interest me. I didn't pick up Green Lantern New Guardians. That one sounded like it might be interesting just because it has a mix of different lanterns in it and whatnot. But of course I really didn't pick it up either, because at the end of the day, when it really came time to actually get the comic, it was a Green Lantern book, and I'm just not into Green Lantern. Grifter #1. I picked this up because I thought, oh hey, I didn't really know anything about the old Grifter. This might be an interesting comic. It's one of the Edge comics. Thought it might be cool. The cover looks cool here. Cafu was doing the artwork on it, so I was behind it as far as that goes. And I bought this one up off the shelf. It was another no pull comic for me, something that wasn't on my pull list. I did not like this first issue and did not buy another issue after it. It had no appeal to me. It felt an awful lot like another comic that I'll talk about later on that I really liked, and executed it the way I thought it should be executed. And of course now Liefeld's been on this book and whatnot, and so that just obviously makes it a really sticky, ugly mess of all kinds of sorts. Okay, Hawk and Dove. I did not pick up this book because, of course, Rob Liefeld was doing the artwork on it. I can't get past all the teeth. Even if you didn't put a bunch of pouches on them, I can't get past all the teeth. So, yeah, I did not pick up that book. I like Sterling Gates, but unfortunately, it sounds like this book was pretty much a train wreck from the very beginning. And, of course, Rob Liefeld's the one that finished the book out, as it was canceled. We'll talk about that in here in a second. Next book I want to talk about that I was not going to pick up because it was a stinking vampire book. Vampire, with lots of cute sparkly vampires and crap. I was like, oh my god. Look at this cover. I think this cover is part of the reason the sales on Vampire are not where they should be. Okay? Not that it's a bad cover. The art is great. But does it not look like it's verging on the more cute kind of a thing? I mean, look, Bennett there is, his pants kind of pulled down. He looks all, I don't know. And her costume, Mary Blood Queen, that's ridiculous. Her costume is ridiculous. It's still ridiculous in the actual comic. But anyway, so this was the cover. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm picking that up. I mean, that's straight out Edward, vampire, sparkly, Twilight crap, and I don't do that. Having to look through CBR, I want to say, and saw the beginning artwork for the thing, and I about freaked out because, you know what? This is a Vertigo book. I mean, it's got the Vertigo look. This art is just outstanding. Outstanding. So I rushed out to pick it up because I saw that, and like 2 days later it came out. Of course, this is one of my Not on the Polls I talk about, and holy crap, I love this book. The art is just so cool. It has such a great mood to it. I'm not even going to try it. Well, Andre Sorrentino, hopefully I can kill his name there, and Joshua Hale Falkoff is the writer. This is one of the few comics that has gone the full 12 issues and has not had any sort of a creator change on it whatsoever. It's had the same creators on it. Cover artist has changed across it. I can't remember who the new cover artist is. Actually, I don't even know who this cover artist is. Great covers now. This book is outstanding. It doesn't have near the sales that it's supposed to have. This first issue is a great first issue. Gives us this intrigue and this complicated relationship that our main character, Andrew Bennett, has with Mary, Queen of Blood. And outstanding. Absolutely love it. I'm so excited that me and a few of the other YouTubers that have been talking about this book has convinced a few other people who weren't picking up this book to pick up this book between this and the crossovers that we're seeing of it. Very excited by this book. Please, 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 if you're not buying it, go buy it so we get more sales, so it hangs around longer. At any rate, next we're going to talk about Justice League #1. This is another one of those titles that's been very disappointing. It should be the flagship. The first 5 issues were kind of ridiculous, annoying, these people kind of fighting each other as Roger 659 something or 09, I always forget his numbers, talked about he didn't like the book, and I agree with him for the same reason, don't like the book. They act like a bunch of 5-year-old brats. Not really that enjoyable. I mean, it was okay. I liked the apocalypse fight part of it and whatnot. I still don't think this book has got its legs under it. I don't know. I don't know how many more issues of this thing I can go. I like they've added the back issues of Shazam, Captain Marvel. Of course, they call him Shazam now, which is a joke. I mean, people are going to ask him, "Who are you?" "Oh, my name's Shazam." And he turns into a superhero or becomes not a superhero. Not sure how that was going to work. Anyway, pick up the book for a while longer, if nothing else. I mean, it's successful sales-wise because it's got Jim Lee art and Jeff Johns on it. Oh, boy. But I don't know. For who it's on it, this should have been just outstanding, and I don't think it's ever been outstanding. A few brief glimpse moments of something that could have been good, but yeah. Anyway. Justice League Dark. This is... started out with Peter Milligan doing the writing. It's now Jeff Lemire. When Jeff Lemire jumped on the book, it got considerably better. It felt more like a team book that was going someplace. I really like Peter Milligan, who started out writing this book. I think he had some good ideas, had some great dark scenes in these first couple issues, but it kind of ground to a stagnant halt. And on some books, for some reason, Peter Milligan writes a very long story, and this one got too long, I think, for what it was. It didn't quite come together. The art is fabulous in it. Still excited by the book. Like I said, with Jeff Lemire on it, for some reason, he's got a spark on this one, whereas some of the other books I've talked about, where he seems to be kind of stagnated or a little bit slow at getting to the story, not in his version of Justice League Dark. I think it's moving forward quite great and whatnot. Artist Mikkel Jenin, excellent artist, great stuff. Love the supernatural DC stuff. Glad to have them have their own book. It's one of the perks of the new 52. Justice League International. I picked up like 3 issues of this. I didn't really enjoy it. I think that some of the characterization in this was pretty horrible. The Russian guy and the guy from China. Their dialogue, in my opinion, was not good. Yeah, and I don't know. I understand the idea it was supposed to be a struggle for them to figure out how to work together and whatnot, and it just for me, didn't quite come together, so I didn't collect that many issues of it. I know other people liked it. I like the characters in it, but as a whole, but actually no. I like the idea of the characters in it. I didn't like the characterization of the character. Godiva, she was ridiculous, incredibly shallow, hitting on people and whatnot. I don't know. It just, when Guy Gardner comes across as being the most reasonable person in the book, there's a problem, right? At any rate, Legion Lost, I picked this up thinking, okay, I've never really been able to get into the Legion books as a general rule. I'll give this one a try because at least it's set on Earth in our time. It's got some characters that I do know and I am somewhat interested in. I like Pete Woods as an artist and as a person, so I was going to support him and whatnot. I think I got 2 or 3 issues of this. It was not very good. I did not enjoy it. I am baffled that this book still is part of the DC 52. Of course, the DC New 52 started in September. I went to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, big con, and we're at the main DC panel, and this is in March. So that's September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So that's 6 months. 6 months into this book, we're talking a packed room of probably 200 plus people or more in the room. The guy who edits this book goes, hey, how many of you out there are reading this book and enjoying it? And it was dead silence. There was not a single clap. There was not a single yay. There was not a nothing. And every other book they talked about, there was at least somebody saying, yeah, I'm excited about it. It was dead silent. It was so incredibly awkward and uncomfortable. No one reads this book. I can't imagine that. How can this book still be around if, just as people in the Northwest of the United States don't like this or what? I don't know. Anyway. Amazing. I don't get it. I didn't pick up Legion of Superheroes. Paul Levitz is on it. I read some of the ones before that we tried it before. I personally, across my comic book buying history, have tried Legion of Superheroes on and off again, and I never really get into it and never really enjoy it that much. I would enjoy reading my friends' copies of it, but not buying it myself. And me and Ethan tried reading it before the New 52 and couldn't get into it and didn't like it. As a matter of fact, we dropped it and started picking up Batgirl, which is a huge improvement, but everything good. So, didn't pick it up. Men at War, I didn't pick up this book, even though the covers looked gorgeous and it looked like some of the artwork inside were probably pretty gorgeous too. I'm just not into war comics. The closest thing I can get to war comics as a general rule is Weird War. That used to come out by DC back in the mid-late 70s. Weird War? Pretty sure it's called Weird War. I've got a few issues of it. I like that. I could get behind that, but not just a straightforward war comic. There's enough war out there. I watch the news often enough and see people killing each other in real life and whatnot and things like that I don't. Most of the time my comics are to escape reality in some sense, and it's just not a piece of reality that I wanted to read, so I didn't get it. Anyway, I did pick up Mr. Terrific. This was another not on the poll. There's some interesting ideas in this. Of course, the first covers for like the first 6 months were Jones covers, which makes them really gorgeous. Unfortunately, the artwork inside wasn't quite the same. I never could really get into the artwork of Mr. Terrific. His face always seemed kind of mashed and whatnot, and with this new T mask that he wore that was red, by the time the red got down to his chin, it always looked like somebody had smashed him in the face a whole bunch. I read the first couple issues of it. This is one of those comics I was always kind of worried about from the very beginning. Mr. Terrific's a pretty unknown character, and to have him competing with all these comics being relaunched at the same time, pretty rough for him to compete with that. At any rate, I quit getting it 4 or 5 issues in. Yeah, interesting character, but the book just never quite grabbed for me. Okay, Nightwing #1. I did collect Nightwing. I just recently quit collecting Nightwing. I don't think I picked up issue 12. I certainly did not pick up the 0 issue, and I won't be picking it up any further. I've never been a Dick Grayson fan all that much, but when he became Batman before the New 52, I really enjoyed him there as a character, even as a person outside of being Batman. I enjoyed him, so I thought, you know what? I'll get this book. I'll try this book. Written by Kyle Higgins. He wrote what I was familiar with, he was writing Gates of Gotham, writing this character, not as Nightwing, but as Batman. I enjoyed that plot line, that story, and whatnot. So I thought I would get this and try it out. Tried it out for basically about a year. I'm just not into it. I decided that I'm not really that big of a fan of Dick Grayson. Not now. They're not giving him enough. I mean, it's not a bad comic. I just don't care. And if I don't care about any part of it, and the few little nuggets that are there are enough for me. So, yeah, give it a try, but just not. Next is OMAC. I know a lot of you YouTubers are huge fans of this title. I did not touch it with a 10-foot pole because Dan Didio was doing the writing on this thing. I'm thinking if you guys enjoyed it a whole bunch, it's probably because Keith Giffen was doing the art and helping on scripts. So I'm thinking Keith Giffen pretty much came up with the main gist and fun of the thing, and Dan Didio kind of added some bits and pieces to it. But I just could not get this comic. Dan Didio did so much damage to Batman the Outsiders and the Outsiders when he took over that comic and just drove that thing in the ground, broke its back, and crushed all of the characters. And I'm not saying in an entertaining way. He just wrecked them all. They all came out being stupid, saying dumb stuff, acting in dumb ways, and it was just a horrible, horrible comic. It used to be my standard of how bad is this comic? Is it Outsiders bad? I mean, that was the bad. And so there was just no way I was going to touch this thing. I know a lot of you guys are excited about it, thought it was fun. I'm half tempted to think about going and picking it back up, but I just can't. I just can't. At any rate, Red Hood and the Outlaws. I did pick this up. I picked it up. I was worried. You know, get these first issues. People were in an outrage because Starfire in this basically is the equivalent of has the mind of a goldfish. Some of the comments she makes in here about the fact she can't remember what humans look like. They all look the same to her. I understand the writer's trying to make her be alien. This first issue just about put me off of it because there are two other characters, Red Hood and Arsenal, are these like goofy buddy guys that, I mean, they might as well be drinking beer and making fart jokes and stuff like that. It was relatively dumb. Get to the second issue, and then they start giving us some really interesting nuggets about Red Hood that have to do with the Batman family and whatnot. And fairly regularly through most of the issues up until here recently when they're in space, there's just been these great little pieces that keep me hanging on to this book that have to do with the Batman family and Red Hood's relationship with them and stuff. Not really particularly enjoying the space thing. I like the fact they're making Coriander Starfire definitely a strong thinking person, which they didn't in the first issues. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Like I said, I'm surprised every issue. There's stuff in it that just really has some great stuff that has to do with that. Okay, next we're going to talk about Red Lanterns. I almost thought about picking this up because, of course, Peter Milligan's writing it, and Ed Bendis was doing the artwork on it, so I thought it'd be stellar. I hear great things about the Red Lanterns, whether it's violent, a cat that pukes up, death on people and stuff. So I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. But I chose not to pick it up, and I think I'm glad I didn't. I haven't heard a lot of great things about that book. So, a Lantern book, so of course I didn't really pick it up. Resurrection Man. This is the book I was talking about when I was talking about Grifter, that they both have kind of basically the same initial storyline. Kind of. They both end up on planes, and the planes get attacked, and crazy stuff happens. This one executed it really well. I wasn't sure what I was going to think of this book because I wasn't sure you could write a story where every issue the guy dies and comes back as new powers and whatnot, and what that was going to be like. But the background of this book is really great. I've really enjoyed it. The only time this book has fallen flat for me is when it's had crossovers with like Suicide Squad and that sort of stuff. I did not like that, but I really enjoyed this book. I'll talk about it a little bit in a bit. Of course, it's one of those books that got on the chopping block, which is relatively unfortunate, I think. I think that Abnett and Lanning will write a good story, and I think this was an interesting character. It's had some art changes, which sometimes has been unfortunate, but really, really more interesting than I thought. The first issues really felt like a Vertigo book, more like a Vertigo book, and then it slowly has moved more towards a superhero style type book. I think that's them trying to find a bigger audience, I think, is the change in it. but it won't matter here very soon. At any rate, next is Savage Hawkman. I didn't pick up Savage Hawkman. It was Tony Daniels writing it, and I didn't really think he was going to have the strength to write the character. I've never really been a big fan of Savage Hawkman. He's always felt very one-dimensional to me, and I didn't think they were going to do anything more with him in this. Very one-dimensional as in, I'm big, I'm tough, and I smash things with my mace. And that just didn't interest me, so I did not pick that up. Static Shock is the next one. I did pick up this. I picked up 4 or 5 issues of Static Shock. This thing was pretty much a train wreck from the very beginning. Liked the character, picked it up because I thought my 10-year-old at the time daughter might enjoy it, and I also picked it up because me and Ethan were kind of fans of the cartoon while it was out, and we kind of liked him when he was hanging with the Teen Titans before the New 52, so we picked this up. This is the first book to succumb to editorial and creator clashes almost immediately. Scott McDaniels and John Ramirez. John Ramirez was off the book. He's the actual writer, full-fledged writer, off the book almost immediately, even though his name's on 3 or 4 of the books. There was big spitting matches over who did what and who said what and who treated who how and whatnot. And shows it's DC's really ugly head in editorial and a bunch of creators who can't figure out how to work together, and what a mess that can become in this day and age of social media where people can just say whatever they want to whenever they want to. Unfortunate. Great character. Could have been interesting and ended up being, crap. Next up, Stormwatch, written by Paul Cornell at this point. Now it's being written by Peter Milligan. I like Peter Milligan's Stormwatch. I actually like it better than Paul Cornell's Stormwatch. I was interested in these characters, interesting mix of people, how they fit in with the DC universe. Actually enjoying this. I'm still enjoying this book. I just read the issue 0. I was actually entertained by that issue 0 amazingly, because once you see my reviews on issue 0, you'll see that I'm not too excited by them as a whole. But yeah, I like the characters. I don't really know these characters a lot. I didn't do Stormwatch before the New 52, so I thought I'd give them a shot. I do like where they're at. I like the characters. I'm hoping that we're starting to see more actual character development. I just hope that we also create some more goals for these characters. But yeah, interesting. And then what's next? Oh, Suicide Squad. And somebody tried billing this thing as being the new if you liked Secret Six, you should read this because it's the same thing. No, it's not. Secret Six was an awesome book on an incredible number of levels, and for me, this just is not. I'm not happy with the new version of Harley Quinn, the way she dresses. I don't think there's any need for this modern look of tarting her up. She was fine the way she was before. Deadshot is not Deadshot if he doesn't have facial hair. King Shark is still kind of cool in this. I just did not enjoy this book. I think I got 2 issues of it before I dropped it. I ended up picking up like issue 9, I think, because it had a crossover with Resurrection Man. I thought it was awful. Just not happy with this at all. Bring back Secret Six. So, Superboy. I didn't pick up Superboy for the same reason I'll pick up the Superman stuff. Most of the Superman-ish type titles do not interest me, and that was going to be another one of those ones that just didn't. Trying to talk fast. Okay. Supergirl, number 1. Actually really liked this. I liked the beginning. I thought it was a decent starting out comic. I think it's been enjoyable all the way through. I think it's gotten stronger as it's gone along. The artwork in this by Hibana Sur is outstanding. I think that Michael Green and Mike Johnson are writing a great story here. I think they have a vision. I think they know where they want to go with her, and I think that she's becoming a really endearing character. I like parts of this new costume. I hate parts of this new costume. The boots are kind of silly. The high-up crotch thing is no better than her wearing a skirt that people can see up, in my opinion. But I like her cape. the top part, and her S is pretty cool too. Enjoying this comic. My daughter really likes this comic. I'll keep getting it for that. But like I said, for me, the artwork in this is stellar. It makes a really enjoyable book, even when the times when it's not necessarily super exciting. It's still an enjoyable read and whatnot. So happy with that. Didn't pick up Superman, even being done by George Perez, who I like his artwork. Don't know about him as a writer. It sounds like it's had difficulties going along, editorial issues and whatnot there with that book, but it being a Superman title, like I said, I don't really get into Superman, so I did not pick up that. One of the other gems of the new DC 52, Swamp Thing, excellent first issue, had exactly what I wanted in it to get this thing kicking off. Whereas Animal Man seems to kind of been stalling along, waiting for this team up to happen with the whole Rotwell thing. Swamp Thing has never really felt like that. It's felt like it still had a story to tell us all the way along. There have been some really creepy stuff go on. Some really great shots. The whole kid inside the bubble who ends up coming out and making all kinds of that was awesome. This is definitely one of the gems of the new 52. Enjoying the heck out of it. I'm curious. Once again, I'm looking forward to the whole Rot World stuff, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens after the Rot World thing's done. Hopefully these characters, that isn't it. You know, that they haven't focused them so much that their whole existence is about fighting the Rot and they don't have any other purpose in the DC universe. Just like Animal Man, if his only purpose right now is to fight the Rot, is he never going to be a superhero? You know, and that'll be unfortunate if we that. I can see Swamp Thing not necessarily being a superhero, but Animal Man, that's kind of what he was. So is he going to go back to that at some point? We'll see. At any rate, Teen Titans, of course, picked this up because my family's been Teen Titans fans in the past. Before the New 52, Teen Titans was kind of a train wreck going along for quite a while there. We picked this up, unfortunately, in my opinion at least. We moved back to these quote-unquote core members, which I don't think are necessary. I think there's lots of other teen characters out there who could be far more interesting in some cases. I do like the new Wonder Girl. I don't know. I quit collecting this around issue 7 or 8. I don't know what's up with the whole armor thing she's got going on, but I like the little bit of armor she had here. First issue is okay. It just got worse for us as it went along because it kept playing on that whole love triangle kind of a thing. And I don't know. This first issue, the cover is ridiculous because, of course, Superboy isn't in this. Yeah, haven't enjoyed it. Haven't enjoyed it at all. The characters, I want to slap most of them most of the time. And I'll talk a little bit more about how DC is making a mess. This is one of the comics they're really making a mess with. Voodoo's another one of those controversial comic books. Oh my god, it's all about the sex. Oh, it's horrible. She's a shallow character. All she is a stripper. Oh, she's nothing more than that. Oh, this is horrible, horrible, horrible. I totally disagree. The art is gorgeous. Yes, she's a stripper in the first issue, and she's a smoking hot looking stripper. Whatever. It was part of the story. That was her cover. She's that for one stinking issue, and then she moves on. If that's what she was all the time, I could see it being a problem. But that's what she was for one issue because she was next to an army base, and she was pilfering she's a telepath of sorts, and she was pilfering the military people who would come to the strip joint for information for her alien race and all that kind of stuff. Actually, kind of an interesting story, kind of more sci-fi than anything else. I liked it when Ron Mars was on it. I quit getting it about time that he jumped off of it is when I quit getting it because they were moving it more towards the superhero and less the sci-fi, and that's actually kind of what I was interested in. Absolutely gorgeous cover. I'm hoping this comic is actually gone. It's one of the ones they're going to be canceling. I'm hoping they find something else for Sammy Bassarai to do. Because, I really like his artwork. Curious to see him do a more traditional superhero title. And finally, the No Pants Wonder Woman. Even though the solicitations for this comic, of course, she was wearing pants. Because, of course, the whole she's going to wear pants, she's not going to wear pants stuff that went on. Absolutely stellar comic from the first issue. Yes, there is an argument to be made that this comic is told around her and it's not really a comic. It's a comic about a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not about her. That it's not enough about her for it to be her title. Hogwash. It's an awesome story. It does not matter if it's told through her perspective or it's told through nobody's perspective, and the story is just told from the outside. It is excellent. The retelling of the Greek gods in this is excellent. The stories that are going on are excellent. Her going down into hell was excellent. The last issue, number 12, was incredible. If you'll go back and watch my review of it, we squealed over this comic for quite some time. Cliff Chang art is outstanding in this. His covers are excellent. The people they have filling in for him on the issues that he's not on work excellent also. This was a fabulous title. The relaunch rocks with this thing. Despite some people have issues with the Amazons being too much like the traditional Amazons. She's the daughter of Zeus. She's not clay. You know, the argument that, oh, this all wrecks her. It takes her womanhood away from her. It takes her being an independent. She's dependent on a male for her to have her power and whatnot. Bullcrap. Bullcrap. Get over yourself. They've taken nothing away from this character. They haven't taken away her power and her grace and her beauty, and everything that makes Wonder Woman a great character is here in this book. It's in this book. This is excellent. Anyway, so I have no idea how long I've talked. I've probably already talked for an hour. If you figure a minute a book, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep talking, though, and I'll see if I'll split this thing in half. So that was the original 52. Of course, we know that they canceled a whole bunch of those books. You know, they canceled Mr. Terrific. It just wasn't selling well. Quite frankly, I don't think it can compete with. It's such a no-name thing, competing with all this big-name stuff. There's only so much money to go around. I don't think it had enough support to grab any enough viewers. Static Shock was a creator mess, an editorial mess. I think it was doomed from the beginning just because of that whole, and it came out in the comic. The comic was very inconsistent as far as what the hell was going on in it. They were just throwing all kinds of crap out there and seeing what would stick, and it wasn't done in a graceful way. Hawk and Dove was doomed from the beginning because Rob Liefeld was doing it. That's just my opinion. I don't, yeah. At any rate, no hands, no feet, crazy smiles. Yeah. I don't think OMAC made it because if you're not a Kirby fan or that style of thing, I don't think you're going to get it. I think a lot of people like me avoided it because Dan Dio was doing the writing on it. So, yeah, it goes down early. Blackhawks, I think, falls into the same thing along with Mr. Terrific. There's not enough known stuff there for people to be buying it in the first place, other than just go, oh, here's this random comic, let's buy it and try it. So it didn't stay. I think Men of War. I don't know. I don't know why it didn't stay. I always say I wasn't getting it because war comics, straight up war comics, aren't my thing. Of course, they replaced those titles I just talked about with some other comics. Batman Incorporated picks up where the last Batman Incorporated took off with. To me, that's a confusing mess because, of course, it's not in continuity. It is in continuity. I don't know. After the whole Leviathan Strikes, Batman Incorporated Leviathan Strikes thing, finding out that the Leviathan was actually Damien's, Talia Ghul, Damien's mom. No interest in reading that book whatsoever. If I hear enough great stuff about it, I will maybe pick it up in trades. But otherwise, I really don't have interest in it. I collected the old Batman Incorporated, and I really liked it until we found out who the person was. And to me, that was just a letdown. Earth 2 is a gem, I think, coming out of the... Earth 2 was a gem coming out of this second wave after the cancellations. James Robinson is writing an excellent story. Nicholas Scott, gorgeous superhero artwork. She is an incredible artist for this sort of thing. I think she's great on it. I think Trevor Scott is the inker. I don't know why they have Trevor Scott inking it. It used to be that Doug Hazelwood did all the inking for her and like the Secret Six and stuff like that, and her Wonder Womans and those sorts of things. I really enjoyed that. So I don't know what happened there, why they decided to change inkers. You know, lots of times pencilers will have a team with an inker, and their whole careers are that way. So I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, excellent first issue, exciting. Some main characters get what we thought were main characters get wiped out right in the very beginning. It starts introducing some new characters to us. Every issue has been enjoyable that I've read so far. I have not read the 0 issue yet. I don't think. Maybe I have. Anyway, up to issue 4 anyway. It just gets better and better with each issue, I think. It's going to be lots of fun because you don't have to know anything. If you do know some stuff, you can go, oh, wow, that's that character, and oh, cool, this is how they changed him or whatever, but it's going to be fun and exciting. So that was a definite hit. World's Finest is one of the replacements. It is not a hit in my opinion. It is a very dull book that just repeats itself over and over again, which is very unfortunate because 2 strong female characters. So I would hope that this would have been a much more entertaining book than what it is. Of course, The Huntress, I was all excited about that because they did have the Huntress miniseries that they ran as part in the new 52, not the 52, but to add more continuity and more people to the DC Universe. Her miniseries, we find out through that miniseries that the Huntress is not Helena Bucciarelli, which is unfortunate. I like that Huntress. This Huntress started out being kind of hardcore like her, but not in this book. By the end of the miniseries and then in this book, I think it's Paul Levitz. I think it's the writer. He writes this much more tame, bland character, and so it's a bland book. Unfortunately, doesn't matter if it has George Perez art on it or whoever on it. It's kind of a bland book, and I am not collecting it anymore. Another one of the books that came out of that was Dial H. An interesting book. It has kind of a Vertigo feel to it. Maybe that's because the editor of this is Karen Berger, who of course is famous editor of all the Vertigo stuff, really, basically. Interesting ideas in this book. Sometimes I get lost in it. I'm curious to see where it's going forward. It's one of those things that I like it enough I'm going to keep collecting it, but I can see where some of the pitfalls are at with it. I hope it gets those things straightened out. Going forward, at some point here, we'll have Punchlelli will be doing the artwork on this, the guy who's doing the artwork on Frankenstein. I'm enjoying it as a whole, though. I think it is a good addition to take over for some of those books that did get canceled. GI Combat, I'm not picking that book up. I wonder if I should be picking it up, though, because GI Combat, so it's got the war aspect to it, but it's more along the lines of Weird War. I mean, there's dinosaurs, It's going to have Haunted Tank in it at some point. It's going to have a lot of the crazy stuff in there that I do like. And that stuff, the main title, I think it's got, J.T. Kroll does some of the work in it, but I also think that it's got Jay Paolini and Justin Gray doing some stuff in there. It's got Unknown Soldier in it and some of that kind of stuff. So that's all interesting stuff, and I would be interested in that. Last of the second wave books that I am also not getting is The Ravagers. Howard Mackey writing it, Ian Churchill doing the artwork. I like Ian Churchill's artwork as a whole, most of it that I've seen. I thought about picking this up, and then I decided against it because the whole Culling story arc that was going on Teen Titans I did not like, and I just got the impression that this was going to be more of that kind of a mess. And from lots of the reviewers that I have seen, that's kind of where it's at, and so, yeah. Of course, with the whole new 52, during that 52, there were also miniseries that came out. Like I said, I talked about the Huntress miniseries. I did quite enjoy it. Marcus 2 was doing the artwork on it. Paul Levitz was writing it, and it was okay. It wasn't too bland. This is my cover, and there's Marcus 2's signature there. At any rate, and the cover is by Gilliam March. Did enjoy it. Shade came out during that time. I didn't collect that. That was probably a mistake. There was the Penguin Pain and Prejudice book that came out that I hear was quite good. My Greatest Adventures finished up during that time. Yeah, I don't know one way or another about it. There was Legion Secret Origins, which I didn't read either. Thunder Agents was also being done. It was a second volume of Nick Spencer's Thunder Agents. I quite enjoyed it, but if you didn't read his first volume, it would be really confusing. They've been introducing characters from the Freedom Fighters in little miniseries. They had the Ray to start out with. They've had Phantom Lady going on now. Human Bomb is supposed to be coming out relatively soon. We'll see where all those goes. I haven't actually collected those. I plan on picking those up in trades. They've started these things called National Comics. Key Eternity, I thought was fabulous. It's a one-shot, just introducing more characters into the DC Universe. There's also been The Looker. I don't have that comic here with me, but I have reviewed it. I enjoyed it also, and there's some more going forward with those. A few other things that have come out. Anyway, the whole DC 52. Did it succeed in what it wanted to do? Did it fail? What all? There are some real gems, some outstanding stuff that came out of the new 52. Batman in itself wasn't hurt. That comic works. There's some continuity issues with the whole Robin thing because they backed everybody up. Everybody's like been heroes for 5 years at most. They're all younger. That has fundamentally broken some characters. It's fundamentally broken Green Arrow. Him being a younger 23-year-old person does not work. He has no wisdom. He has no frame of reference. He's just a mess. And I think it's the 52 that broke him. 52 also brought us things like the new Animal Man, the new Swamp thing, which I don't think we would have seen otherwise without this relaunch. Those are both stellar comics. There's been some other really good comics that come out of the new 52. Did it draw in more readers? Yes, I think it drew in more readers. I read 34 for a while. I was reading 34 of the new 52. I wasn't reading 32 DC comic books before that, and I'm a DC person. So I'm collecting more books because of it. I think more people did pick up the books. Do we pull in lots and lots of new readers? I don't know. Pulled in lots of lapsed readers, I think. It was a success as far as that goes. Of course, it had there's some editorial issues that continue to go on. There's some continuity issues. There's lots of people who don't read the books now because they threw out all that old continuity and it started from scratch kind of a thing. So they didn't do it completely. They did chicken out on some things. They backed things up, but basically the Batman stuff still exists. And some of that stuff. So I don't know. As a whole, it's a win. There were some books I really, really liked that they got rid of because of the new 52 and did not replace it. Secret Six, absolute favorite book, did not replace it, did not put it back. It's a shame, and I don't think they could ever bring it back. I don't think they could recapture that magic, put that magic back in the bottle again, and do it again. I really liked Rebels. It was a great space superhero-ish, sci-fi kind of comic book. Enjoyed it. It's not here anymore. I think that's unfortunate also. I think as a whole it did what DC wanted to do. They are selling a lot more comics now than certainly what they were before. Even after the high of all the number ones came off, they're still doing well. The sales aren't all based on the Watchmen books that have come out. Certainly that has helped them capture both ends of the market, sales and numbers. But I think it has made them a stronger company. Has it made stronger characters? I don't know. In some cases, I think it has. In a lot of cases, I think it hasn't. I think it's taken stuff away. Did they need to do it this way? No, they didn't need to. But I think they captured a lot of attention by doing what they did, by literally shutting the whole thing down and restarting the whole thing up all at once. It grabbed national media attention, even media attention that they weren't actually, soliciting. Like they give stuff to some media now, like the Superman Wonder Woman kiss. They sent that out to some of the big newspapers and whatnot. And just as a little note, of course, Marvel's kind of doing the same thing with the Marvel Now, but they aren't totally relaunching. All they're doing is they're renumbering the books and putting new people on them, but not really changing a whole lot in some cases. I don't think it'll be successful. It'll probably sell a lot. It'll probably stomp DC into the ground for a while because Marvel's got a bigger machine to do that. But I don't think it's going to grab as much attention. I won't have people at my workplace coming up to me that have any idea that I might know something about comics going, holy cows, I hear they're totally redoing this character. I hear they're totally redoing Captain America. Or I hear they're totally redoing, the X-Men, if they even know who the X-Men are. I don't think we're going to hear. I don't think I'm going to hear that. When with the New 52, when it relaunched, when everything new happened with it, I heard stuff like that. People who had no interest whatsoever in comic books whatsoever were coming up and saying, "Wow, I hear they're changing Wonder Woman. They're giving her pants, or they're not giving her pants. Wow, I hear Superman. They're retelling the story and changing stuff with him." And I don't think that's. I don't think it's going to be heard as loud. The Marvel. We'll see. It hasn't happened yet. But yeah, there's hits and fails with the whole thing. Did they need to do this? No. For me personally, they didn't need to do this. I was happy with the DC Universe the way it is. I can understand why they did it in the hopes they could get more people to jump on. As much as we all say, oh, if I like a comic, I just jump on anywhere. I don't believe it. I mean, we do sometimes. Obviously, we grab stories and start reading them. We wait for somebody to tell us, hey, this is a great story arc if it's this comic that's been around forever, because none of us expect to be able to go back and read all that stuff. Or, oh my God, if I'm going to collect Amazing Spider-Man, I have to go back 700 issues to read Amazing Spider-Man. There's no way we can do that kind of stuff. This did help people take a look at it. It's not a daunting task. Even if you were going to start reading now at issue 0, it's not a daunting task to go back up and pick up 2 trades to be totally caught up on what's going on with these characters, if you think you need to do that, if you aren't willing to just take the risk. Looks like my battery is about ready to die on my camera. So, this is the end of this long talk. I don't know if I said anything worthwhile about the new DC 52 or not. Like I said, it's hit and miss. There's some titles I'm really excited about that I don't think we would have saw if we wouldn't have had this. And unfortunately, there's some titles that died because of the whole 52 that they chose not to bring back. I would really like to see some people at the top quit creating books and find some new people and take some actual real risk with some of the stuff that they want to do. I mean, I know they took a risk to relaunch it. I think it's been successful for the company. Seems like they're shooing away a lot of really interesting talent. They need to open up the doors and get a little more creative, I think. And if they're pushing to have all these books out on time, I appreciate that. But I hope they're not killing creativity and that sort of stuff in the process of this push. But at any rate, that's kind of my not so quick, but tried to be quick, look at the new DC 52. I'm actually looking forward to what's coming next. I'm still a DC guy, and I still enjoy DC Comics. Have a good one, everybody.